I got you both to drop your fears and inhibitions. For that you should be eternally grateful, but I give you more. I give you your life's purpose.
Reporters, and then all of a sudden they have news, and you're not supposed to do that. It's probably illegal to do it. You know, he'll have a committee meeting and he'll leak all sorts of information. You know, he's a bad guy, but it's certainly, the memo was a nothing. It confirmed, basically, if you look at it, it confirmed. I watched Miss Hurd, who was fantastic, on your show just before, and I will tell you that was really just a confirmation of, if you call it the Republican memo or the Nunes memo, it's referred to as a lot of things, but that was nothing but a confirmation. And a lot of bad things happened on the other side, not on this side, but on the other side.
And you know what's
somebody
interesting?
should look into it, because what they did is really fraudulent, and somebody should be looking into that. And by somebody, I'm talking about you-know-who.
I have a feeling I know who it is, Mr. President. Look, one of the things that I thought was interesting is here we've got the Democrat memo, and thank you for complimenting Catherine Herridge. She's right next to me. She'll be on in a moment. We love Catherine Herridge. But for
she's able to really take, you know, Ginny, she's able to take a very complex document and very systematically, you know, essentially say the truth.
Well, she drills
that
it
document
down.
was really, it really verifies, and a lot of bad things in that document. That document really verifies the Nunes memo. And that's why they didn't push hard to have it. If you notice, they did not push it hard because they understood this was going to happen. And just in looking around and seeing reports, a lot of people are saying that. That's a very bad document for their side.
Well, in addition to that, Mr. President, you know, after 18 months, not any kind of reference to any collusion. But I have to tell you that Adam Schiff just tweeted.
And by the way, that is true, Janine. You have all these committees. Everybody's looking. There is no collusion. No phone calls. I had no phone calls. No meetings. No nothing. There is no collusion. I say it all the time. Anybody that asks, there's no collusion. I was, you know, I don't want to sound braggadocious. I was a far better candidate. She was not a good candidate. She went to the wrong states. She didn't go to Michigan enough. She didn't go to Wisconsin at all. She didn't do a good job in North Carolina. She did a poor job in Ohio and a poor job in Pennsylvania. And you could also add Florida into the mix. And, you know, frankly, that's what it was all about. There was nothing to do with Russians.
Well, clearly, I mean, I think all the evidence points to that. But Adam Schiff has just seconds ago tweeted, wait a minute, Mr. President, am I a phony or sleazy, a monster or little? Surely you know the key to a good playground nickname is consistency. I thought you were supposed to be good at this. I guess you got him in the gut there. What do you say to that, Mr. President?
Well, I say sort of all of those. But look, he was just, we need intelligence that brings our nation together. And a lot of people are tearing our nation apart on this and other subjects. They're tearing our nation apart. And I have to tell you, every time the folks over in Moscow, the Russians, as he likes to call them, every time they watch, every time they see him and others get on and do what they did, he got scammed by somebody pretending to be a Russian. And your Senator Warner got scammed also. Now, it's okay for them to be dealing, but if we have any kind of a contact with anybody, even though it has nothing to do with anything important, it's a big deal. But if you look at Senator Warner, he got scammed. And if you look at Adam Schiff last week, 2 weeks ago, he got scammed by somebody that was fine that he spoke to this person, thought he was a Russian, but it didn't work out that way. He wasn't a Russian. So we have to bring the country together, Janine, and what's happening is this and other things are ripping it apart, and it's been this way for a long time. This isn't just over the last year when I've been here. It was terrible during the Obama administration, and by the way, I have to say, Obama was the president during all of this meddling, or whatever you want to call it, with Russians and others, possibly. But Obama was the president. He's the one that was supposed to take care of this. And he didn't. Nobody brings that up. He was warned, and he didn't, which makes it even worse. But he was the president during this period of time, during the entire period of time, and he did nothing about it. So somebody should bring in. Now, I have to say, a lot of the fair people and people, frankly, that love my administration, they bring it up all the time. But Obama was the president. He did nothing about it. With all of that being said, we have to come together as a nation, and we have to get it done. A lot of great things are happening. Our economy is incredible. I'm renegotiating trade deals. There are no trade deals ever negotiated that have been bad like the trade deals that we've had negotiated, whether it's NAFTA, the deal with South Korea, TPP, I was able to keep us out of it. That would have been a total disaster. World Trade Organization deal, that's what really led to the emergence of China. You look at China, they became rich when they made the World Trade deal, the World Trade Organization, WTO. We have to change it. We can't allow our workers, our country, our companies to be ripped off like this, and they understand that, and that's why they're starting to move back into the United States. Chrysler's coming back. Foxconn is coming in, the big company that makes the Apple, different things for Apple. Some of the biggest companies in the world, they're coming back into our country now because of what I'm doing. But we have to come together, Janine, as a nation. And we shouldn't be fighting like this. We should all be on the same team. That includes Adam Schiff.
Right.
We should all be on the
includes
same
Evan
team.
Schiff,
They
who
shouldn't
should-
have two sides fighting all the time, fighting. We should all come together as a nation. With that being said, I have to just add one thing. Congressman Nunes, if this continues to go forward, I really think someday he's going to be greatly honored for his service and for what he's done. He's been very, very brave in the face of a lot of obstacles. What he's found out has been incredible. I give him tremendous credit. But I have to say this, we have to come together as a nation.
You know, Mr. President, your approval rating is soaring. And, you know, we can talk about the economy and the low unemployment and the stock market and all of the great things that have been happening with the economy. But you have accomplished all of this. And by the way, there's a poll that puts you at 50%. At CPAC, you're at 93% approval rating. You did all this in 1 year with the economy. To what do you attribute these incredible advances?
Well, I think that I've had a lot of good ideas and I have a lot of energy. I get things done. I mean, I'm very proud of what's happened with the economy. If they would have gone with in the other direction, they would not have gotten rid of regulations. I really believe that while the tax cuts are the biggest ever, there has been no bill like that passed, including Anwar and including getting rid of the individual mandate, which is the worst thing going on Obamacare, and healthcare is starting to really come along now well. You're going to see premiums start to drop. But with all of that being said, I think regulation, the cutting of regulations is what has given us this, because, you know, as you know, the tax cuts just happened a fairly short while ago. I've been cutting regulations now for over a year, substantially. Only unnecessary regulations, but you couldn't build, you couldn't do anything. Look at the pipelines. If you look at the Keystone Pipeline, if you look at the Dakota Access Pipeline, Janine, 48,000 jobs, they were dead. And I approved them right at the beginning of my administration. And environmentally superior, because you're underground as opposed to trucking and all of the things that you have to do to get the product to the various coasts and to where it's going, to the refineries. So, it's been an incredible period. And I was saying before, and somebody was very readily agreeing with me, I don't think any administration has done as much as we've done in the first year. I don't think it's even close. Between the taxes, the regulations, Justice Gorsuch, many district judges, many Court of Appeals judges, and many more to go. We have great judges, you know, literally just waiting. We have a tremendous problem with Senator Schumer where he's not approving people that are working in the administration. It's unprecedented. We have hundreds of people that have taken so long to get approved, and we have people still waiting to get approved in the trade groups and very important groups, Janine. The Democrats, I mean, the one thing they're incredible at is obstruction. The one thing they're incredible at, you know, they use it, they resist. And they really, it's just bad for the country. So
It's
hopefully
very
that can
bad.
get done, and hopefully we can get DACA done. I'd like to do that for the Hispanics out there. You know, I did very well with the Hispanics, much better
Right.
than anyone would have thought. I'm the one that's pushing DACA, and the Democrats are nowhere to be found.
Well, what's amazing is that, they continue to try to promote their narrative. But I want to ask you about something you talked about at CPAC yesterday that was very well received, and that has to do with in the wake of the Parkland, Florida school shooting. And you talked about expanding background checks on guns.
Right.
How do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I think it is going to happen. I think we have tremendous support. The Republican Party has really come together. It's become very unified. You see that also with the poll. I think that was one of the straw poll questions that were asked, and at the CPAC, which was a tremendous conference, by the way, tremendously successful. And it was, about the whole thing, the party coming together. And it really is. It's really coming together. And I've spoken to many senators, many congressmen, just today, yesterday, the day before. And I think we're going to have a great bill put forward very soon, having to do with background checks, having to do with getting rid of certain things and keeping other things, and perhaps we'll do something having, on age, because it doesn't seem to make sense that you have to wait till you're 21 years old to get a pistol, but to get a gun like this maniac used in the school, you get that at 18. I mean, that doesn't make sense, and frankly, I explained that to the NRA. They're great people. Wayne and Chris and all of the great patriots. These are great people. But I said, fellas, we have to get going on some really good legislation. So background checks are going to be very important. At the same time, there's no bigger champion for the Second Amendment than I am. I'm, the champion of the Second Amendment.
I don't think there's any question about
protection.
that.
You have to have protection. You see what happened with the police officers that didn't have the guts to go into. I mean, now it turns out, I guess there's 4 of them.
4 of them.
Incredible.
That's my open tonight.
If we would have had some great teachers that were gun adept, meaning, really understood weaponry and guns, and if they had concealed permits, you wouldn't have this problem today. You just wouldn't have it. And, they had one other thing. They love those children, the teachers. They love those children. That coach who was so brave, who ran into gunfire to protect the kids, if he had his gun concealed, he'd be alive today. Most of the people would be a whole different story, but he would have been shooting instead of running into somebody totally unarmed who was a maniac. So, there's a lot of good things happening, Janine. We're going to get it solved. The one big thing to that also is when these crazy people who are cowards, when they hear or know that randomly you'll have maybe 20% of the teachers, 15% of the teachers inside having concealed, and these are experts at what we're talking about, they'll never go into the building. You're never going to have this problem.
Right.
And, we have certain states that do this, and nobody talks about them, but it's been very successful. But he would never have run into the building if he thought that bullets were going to come flying back into him. In fact, he left the building pretending he was a student. He didn't want to get shot. If he thought there were people that could defend offensively, that you could, have some offensive power in there, he would have never, ever gone into that school building.
Right. And, the shame of it all, Mr. President, and I know that you have to go, but the idea of those with mental illnesses and psychiatric problems is something that we really have to deal with, because I think one of the common threads of all of these shooters is that they are, mentally deficient, wackadoos, nuts, evil also.
Well, that would be a big part of the background checks. We would have a very, very hard section, and we would have a very powerful section on mental illness. And somebody who is mentally ill should not have a weapon, should not have a gun. And that would be covered in the background checks. And I think the NRA is going to be for it. I think that a lot of people, this certainly should be bipartisan, but we're drawing up very strong legislation right now having to do with background checks, mental illness. We're going to have, I think you're going to have tremendous support. It's time. It's time. It's been many years. I'm not here that long, in all fairness. You've had this going on for a long time. It's time to get it done and get it done right. But they have to know that they go into a school with bad intentions, there are big consequences. It's not going to be like it was for this guy, where after he was finished, he walks out with the other students pretending he's a student and got away, except for one very great policeman that in a different town, fairly far away, he said, I think this is the guy they're looking for, and he nabbed him. Pretty good job. I mean, in all fairness, that man did a good job.
Well,
but they have to know there are consequences. They go into a school, you know, gun-free zone is just, that's like target practice for these guys. They see that, and that's what they want. It's very dangerous. Gun-free zones are very dangerous because the bad guys love gun-free zones, Janine.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you one more thing. You talked about adding $700 billion to the military, as I think you said yesterday it was going to hell, something like that. I know that you support the military and you're giving them the resources they need. Are we going to have a parade?
Well, I'd like to have a parade. A lot of the generals would like to have a parade to celebrate what we're doing. You know, our military was very depleted. It was going in the wrong direction. And I want to have, by far, the most powerful military in the world. I want it to be more powerful than we've ever had it. And we need that today, Janine. I see what's going on better than anybody. I see what's going on in the world. The world is a tough place. And we want to be stronger than we ever were. And as you know, just recently, I got a budget. I would have loved to have cut the budget, but we need, our military has been so badly hurt for so many years, even beyond President Obama. I mean, it's been hurt for many, many years and depleted. We had sequester, which is a disaster. And I got $700 billion and $716 billion next year. That will rebuild our military. We'll have a tremendous, updated, the top of the line. There'll be nothing like it. We needed that. But to get that, I was forced to give Democrats, you know, many billions of dollars for things that I would normally not have done. They had, you know, they don't care so much about the military, sadly. They don't care so much about people pouring across the border, MS-13. They're not worried about MS-13. If anything, they want to protect MS-13. And these are vicious people. By the way, these aren't people that use guns. These are people that like using knives because it's more painful. And we've gotten thousands of them, literally thousands, you know that, out of the country and put them in jail and out of the country. But we need the wall, we need border security, and we have to stop MS-13 and a lot of really bad people and drugs from pouring into our country. And you see the numbers. We've stopped, I mean, the numbers are way down from what they were, but that's not good enough. We have to stop them all. It's not good enough.
And
so we're going to have tremendous border security. That's part of what we want right now.
When are we getting the wall?
Well, we're going to get the wall. The Democrats have actually agreed to that, but I have to get more. We need other things. We need something to do with chain migration, something to do with visa lottery. I mean, we actually have lottery systems where you go to countries and they do lotteries for who comes into the United States. Now, you know they're not going to have their best people in a lottery because they're not going to put their best people in a lottery. They don't want to have their good people leave. So we get these people, and then you'll have, like the incident we had on the West Side Highway, where this guy who comes in through chain migration and visa lottery runs over and kills 8 people and badly injures. You know, nobody ever talks about all of the people, whether it's the school or on the West Side Highway, people that go out to put themselves in shape and they end up losing legs and arms. Nobody ever talks about the people that are so horribly hurt and injured. But this guy runs his truck into people, killed 8 people and injured many, and he came in through the system. Well, I don't want that. I want people to come in ultimately. We want people to come in through merit. And you know, we're going to need merit. We need people to come in to our country because we have so many companies now moving in because of the regulations and because of what we did with the massive tax cut, which is great for the companies, and they're going to hire the people. That we're going to need people to take care of the companies. So, but we want people based on merit, not based on the fact that they're thrown into a bin. And many of those people are not the people you want in the country, believe me.
Well, clearly. And if we were to have a parade, I'm stuck on the parade. When do you think we can have this parade? Because I want to go to the parade.
We're talking about probably Veterans Day. It's just preliminarily, you know, being discussed. but we're talking about probably Veterans Day. I like July 4th because July 4th in Washington, D.C. would be beautiful.
Yes.
It would be up and down Pennsylvania Avenue. A lot of it would be flyovers. I was at the Bastille Day parade in France with the president of France, very good guy.
Oh, okay.
And it was quite something. And frankly, I think it's great for spirit. The military loves it. They love the idea. It would have our West Point and Annapolis and the Air Force Academy, Coast Guard Academy, and would have it would be a great representative parade. Would have a lot of plane flyovers. I think it would be something great for the spirit of the country. You know, we have a great country, and we should be celebrating our country. So we'll see if we can do it at a reasonable cost, and if we can't, we won't do it. But the generals would love to do it, I can tell you, and so would I. I think it's great for our country in terms of being a cheerleader, and the spirit is very important. Hello?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Let me ask you finally, the mainstream media, they don't seem to be ending their attacks on you. And yet, as your approval rating is soaring and as you make all these accomplishments, do you think at some point they have to give in?
I think what they're going to do is 6 months before the election in 2020, they're going to all endorse me, and they're going to be so nice, because if they don't have me, their ratings are going to die, and they're all going to go out of business, okay? You know, they get good ratings because of whatever is going on. I mean, because of me. And I think what happens is, I'm sure they'll all endorse. You know, I'm being a little sarcastic when I say that, but I expect them all to endorse me and cherish me right up until that point, and then probably after I win, they'll go after me again. But their ratings are good. I will say Fox ratings are phenomenal. CNN has not been doing well. MSNBC is now in second place over CNN, but Fox is beating everybody. And you people have been very fair. Not good. You've been very fair to me. That's all I ask for is fairness. No, I call it fake news. There's so much fake news, Janine. It's just incredible.
It is. It is. And finally, Ivanka, have you heard from her?
I have. She's working hard. She's doing a great job. You know Ivanka very well. There is no better representative that we can have go over to a pretty tough place right now in the world. It's South Korea. She's over at the Olympics, and she's with the president of South Korea. And
right.
You have North Korea surrounding her, and a very interesting situation. So I have spoken to her. We cannot have a better, smarter representative.
Well, Mr. President, I can't thank you enough for calling into Justice. We are very honored that you did so. Congratulations on your approval ratings on CPAC and on all of the successes that you've had. My viewers are just thrilled that you came on to Justice. Thank you again.
Well, I love your viewers. I want to tell you do, and I do too. And congratulations on your success, because I did look at your ratings over the last couple of weeks, and you're doing fantastically. And,
thank you.
And so is our friend Waters, our Waters world, man. He's doing great also. And your whole Saturday Night Live, what you guys, Greg, what you guys have done is pretty amazing. But I did look at how well you're doing, and I want to congratulate you, Janine. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. We're honored. All right. Next, more on the developing story of the day, the Democrats' big reveal, or was it?
Am I seething with this animosity? Am I not living up to what I'm supposed to be? I think you owe me.